What's up, my friend? Today, I wanted to talk to you about why there's certain things in your life, in our lives, that just seem to evade us. Like, no matter how hard we try or push or strive to get something, or how many manifestation techniques we do, that they just don't seem to happen. You know what I mean? And maybe the same patterns keep showing up over and over again in this certain area. So I want to explain why that is and what to do about it. And maybe there's certain areas in your life where we get what we want very easily. Maybe we get really lucky in these areas. There's certain areas in my life that I'm super lucky, like living situations and housing, that I seem to be lucky. And so the reason for all this is what I've been learning is our unconscious mind. So AI has actually been teaching me all about this. And I'm learning in real time that our unconscious mind basically is creating our entire lives all around us. And like everything that all of our beliefs and about ourselves and about life show up as a reflection of our reality. Maybe this is new for you and maybe this is not new for you. But I have come to this realization that I've been really striving and pushing, and there's certain areas in which I have been very successful through striving and pushing, and that is through my career of being a content creator. I'm a professional full-time content creator, and I did it through striving and pushing and like burning my adrenals out, basically. It's the same way I approached work and all these things. So it's kind of like career and finances mixed into one, because I've been very successful in finances in areas at times where I've pushed myself and strove. And I'm realizing that I can't keep doing this. Like, my body is not able to, I'm just going to keep burning out, and it's not good for me. So what I've realized is that unless there's some deep fundamental change, nothing is going to change in my external life. I can't keep pushing anymore. And that's probably somewhat for you in some certain areas. So what is up, my friends? What is up, my friend? Today, I wanted to talk to you about why it's so hard to get what you want in certain areas of your life. Maybe it's content creation, maybe it's something else, but there's certain area in your life that you've been striving and pushing and trying, doing all the manifestation techniques, doing all the practices, taking all the action, but nothing really has seemed to change, or it seems to be very small, and what it is that you can do about that. So maybe there's certain areas in your life, if you're like me, that you are super lucky and that things seem to flow. You know, for me, my living situations, I always seem to just be super lucky. I like manifest these crazy situations without even having to think about it or try, really. And basically, the reason for all of this is our unconscious mind. So our unconscious mind is the dictator of like all the results that we're getting in life. It pretty much is its job is to keep us safe, and there's certain beliefs that have been installed into our unconscious mind from our parents and our past generations, and like how we grew up. We were just a sponge that just soaked up everything, all the belief systems, and now our lives are pretty much a product of that. Now there's certain things we can change in our life easily if we don't have like any like wonky beliefs around there. There's certain things that come easily to certain people, and there's other things that are not, and it feels like an uphill battle. So I am a full-time content creator, and I have gotten to be a full-time content creator because I really strove and pushed, and I was determined, and I fought against my beliefs of not being enough. And eventually I made it happen. But the problem is that there's still all these beliefs that I've carried, this working hard thing that I've carried into being a full-time content creator, that really are like the belief that I need to keep working really hard in order to be safe, in order to make it financially. And it's really not working for me. I am a full-time creator, so I've been making full-time money, but it's like I'm working way too hard, and it's like too much, and I'm totally burning out. So I realized that if I don't do something internally, that nothing is going to change. So if you don't do something internally, your situation is never going to change if we don't rewire these unconscious beliefs. So I've been having long dialogues with AI about how to fix this issue, how to really change internally, how to actually transform. And this is day one of that journey. And so the milestone is I decided $30K a month revenue. I thought that was, or income. I thought that sounded pretty badass. And that's like while working, I don't know, 20 hours a week or something like that. That seems pretty. So, and that's an indicator of finances, but also like not working that hard. So I would love for you to join me on this journey. It's day one. And in day one, what we're going to talk about is like the first step of getting what you want. So what has happened in my experience is that every time I've tried to manifest something, so in in the world, there's two ways to get what you want. You can take massive action, or you can become the version of yourself that's aligned with become the person that's aligned with that version of yourself who already has the thing that you want. Because there's actually, time is irrelevant. There's only the present moment, and all of the possibilities in life already exist in this present moment. So instead of like striving through linear reality to get what you want, we actually have to become attuned to that version of ourselves that exists somewhere out there in the multiverse. This is obvious. This is actually AI telling me this too. This is not coming from me and all my woo-woo shit that I have looked into. But okay, so those are the two ways. Obviously, if you're tuning into the version of yourself that's in the future, then you can actually, you take action, but you take it from that place. Instead of taking action from like, I need this thing to feel better about myself, you actually feel whole and complete, and then that thing comes to you, and then the action is inspired. That one is, in our culture, much harder to do. And I've been doing the other one, which is striving, and it sucks. It's not working for me anymore. So we're shifting things. But the problem is that you can identify with that version of yourself all you want, but what happens is that what resistance shows up. So that resistance is going to show up, and then it's going to repel basically this new version of yourself. It's going to reject it and be like, this doesn't feel safe. Change doesn't feel safe. And then things are going to happen in your body. And I actually don't hear many people talking about this. I actually had to go through this myself and then ask AI about it and figure out what was going on before I realized, because, you know, even like Joe Dispenza and all these different manifestation techniques, it's like, just be the person, just always be that version of yourself. But dude, I don't know if you're anything like me. When I get hit with these like emotional reactions of like my unconscious trying to keep me safe, there's no overriding that. It's like my full body, like anxiety, like everything shuts down. It's intense. So what we want to do is that when that thing comes up, so step one is to become the version of ourselves that aligns with what we want, right? So there's this version of me out there who's making 30K through content. It's really easy and fun, and 30K a month through content. And then I be him. So I become him. I walk like him. I talk like him. I take actions from that space. And I actually am whole in a way that I don't need the 30K. I actually become the version of myself that already has it. So it's like there's no need, there's no want. But the problem is that my unconscious does not like that, because it doesn't feel safe doing that. And so there's a couple things that happen, is that there's a reaction, and we actually, instead of trying to override the reaction, we actually need to recognize that is our unconscious mind, probably a younger part of ourselves that has been reacting to, or that kept us safe and that reacts to change, and that there's some belief in there perhaps. And we can get into more nuanced beliefs later in further days, but there's a belief in there that does not allow this, rejects this, and says like, nope, this is not safe. And so it reacts with like depression or whatever, its old anxiety. So we actually have to hold this place without thoughts, without ruminating into the thoughts, because what the emotional reaction does, kicks in our thoughts, and then we start thinking and trying to solve the problem. We actually don't solve the problem at all. We just be with the emotion, and we actually hold it like a parent that we didn't have, we didn't really have when we were actually going through that, like a present adult. And what that does is create space for this emotional reaction to just like run out. And then obviously we like caretake. Maybe you can do things like visualize holding your younger self or send love to it or whatever. But this goes back to step one a little bit, because that's step two is basically like, again, step one is like becoming the version of ourselves that's aligned with something. Step two is when the things show up, then we deal with it. And then back to step one is actually like, if we want to talk about step zero before step one, it's actually recognizing that we are consciousness itself. Like the baseline of this is recognizing that consciousness that's who you are. And that's where all of this stuff is arising from. So you were pure consciousness when you were born, and then all these things got downloaded onto you, and then you just took that on as reality, and that's what shaped your life up until now. And so if we recognize that we are actually consciousness ourselves, and these are all just like old belief systems, that they're not real. They're just like belief systems that actually shape your life and your reality, that you can actually have that perspective and change and then take on a new identity. And you choose it from this place, but it's never out of because you're not enough, because you are full and complete and enough as source consciousness. So I just wanted to say that as a preliminary. Again, we'll go into this later in the further days and stuff. But that being said, so And I'm obviously going to take you along the journey of like what I'm doing and more details of this stuff. But today is just like setting the groundwork. So let's see, what did I want to say about that? Now, next thing that we do is, when that comes up, we hold space for it and we actually heal those old wounds and rewire our unconscious, and then just let it know like, hey, I know you tried to believe this, to keep me safe, but this is I'm actually in charge here. I'm going to take care of you, and we're actually choosing something different. Okay. And then there's other things like, typical gratitude type things, and letting, surrendering from all, surrendering from, attachment and stuff like that. Okay. So that's pretty much it for the steps. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is just like recognize that we're source and come up with an identity for ourselves. So I really like this thing. This is AI coached me into doing this, but what we're going to do is we're going to come into awareness that we are like write down what you want, write down all the things that you want, all the things that you're interested in, all the things that the life that you want to create, every last detail. And then you envision yourself, who that version of yourself is that's aligned with all the things you want. You can do this a couple ways. You can do this, just focused on finances, or you can do this on a bunch of different things. I asked AI about this, and it actually coached me to become the magnetic version of myself that attracts all the things I want. So I was like, tight. I just have to look at one version of myself. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to write down what we want, get aligned with it, and become the version of ourselves that is in alignment with that. And then lo and behold, triggers are going to come up, and then we're going to deal with that as they arise. So, but that's it for pretty much step one, is just getting in touch with what you want, writing it down, and then creating an avatar for yourself. Like, I actually envision this part of me, this version of me, who is what he looks like, how he carries himself, like all these things, even a little exaggerated, like even superhero type characteristics. And then I actually sat down, AI prompted me to do this, sat down with him I sat across from him in a chair, and I envisioned him, every last detail, what it feels like to be in his presence. And then I asked him I asked him questions. I started dialoguing with him. Like, what do you want me to know? Like, what do I need to know to become you and to have ease and abundance and all this stuff? And then he shared with me like what it was, and I really felt it coming from like a deep part of me, that like a truth, like a heartfelt truth. And it was pretty powerful. And then what I do is, in that visualization, I actually merge with this version of me and then feel what it feels like to be him. And then now I can call on that version of myself in my mind anytime I want, and then I can become that version. So even if I'm like mildly triggered, I can still call it on, and it can override the trigger sometimes, but not always. So that's it for day one, and I'm excited to take you guys with me, and I hope this was valuable. I would love to hear your thoughts down below, and let's just look at my notes to see if I missed anything. So let's get into this. Let's build a life of freedom and abundance and wealth and all the fun stuff. All right, I'll see you in the next one.